times or goosebumps having witnessed it, having stood and bared testimony to this moment?
All of it. The whole thing. The whole thing. And the best moment hasn't happened yet, because if I think that if it has, I'd be off doing other things. I'd be writing, producing, directing movies. I'd be creating. I'd try to compete with Taylor Sheridan and put something on Netflix that would compete with what he has over on Paramount Plus with Landman and Yellowstone. I would take on some other genres. I would take some friends of mine in the music business and get into a studio and say, I'll pay for the studio time. Let's just jam. Let's see if I can do the Rick Rubin and produce, even though I have no musical understanding whatsoever. I would do something else. All of it. And all of it with the expectation of we can top this tomorrow, and 2 days from now we can top tomorrow. If it's I mean, there are easy answers. ECW itself, getting on pay-per-view for ECW, the first ECW pay-per-view, the last ECW pay-per-view, the revival of ECW in 2005, and that one night stand in the entire show. Brock Lesnar conquering the Undertaker's streak.
What about you ad-libbing John Cena's theme song?
There you go. See, and I can do. And the funny thing is, and I love John Cena, because I went up to John and I said, I expect you to tear into us. He goes, that's a good expectation. And then I said, would you like to know my retort? And he goes, no. And I said, my retort's a little unconventional. And he goes, great. I'll react to it naturally out there. I said, you sure you don't want to know this? And he goes, nope. He goes, you can't see me and I can't hear you right now.
That's amazing.
And he walked away, And I was like, okay. And then, he just dug into us, and I'm just like, walked away. And he comes to the back and he's laughing his ass off, tearing, but reaction wise, because he's so great, he reacted perfectly to it. But I mean, again, it's that. And by the way, all of these things, and I can tell you, how could I not mention simply sitting on the couch for the last 5 seconds of the SmackDown after Roman Reigns returned during COVID, and we were heading towards, he was still the big dog, and I was still known as Brock Lesnar's advocate, and the camera pans out for the last 5 seconds of SmackDown, and he had hit my catchphrase, because he hit, that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler, and you see who was it? Adam Pearce. It was Adam Pearce gets a look on his face, and the camera pans out, and I'm sitting on this ratty-ass. Vince was so mad because he was like, God damn, that's a terrible couch. Jesus Christ, what? They look like shit, but we did it live, And even though it was taped, he said, let's reshoot it. It's like, but we have no other couches. And where are we going to find a couch at midnight now in shooting this, And that was it. So we lived with it. But I'm sitting on a couch with Roman, and the camera pans out, and I hit the big dog's line, and I just said, believe that. And we're off the air. And so for 5 seconds, we end a SmackDown with Brock Lesnar's advocate on the couch with the big dog. Within a week, we named him the tribal chief. We named him the head of the table, and he had the title on him 48 hours later. I can't tell you that's not the moment, because the whole WWE universe at that moment shifted. That was the moment that completely changed everything during the pandemic, because that was the birth of the tribal chief. But that's not the moment either. All of these moments, my entire 40-year experience, is a moment. It's a blink of an eye. It's a blur, yet with details I understand. But I'm a junkie too.
Nice.
But one that doesn't want to recover. One that doesn't want treatment. I embrace my addiction. My addiction is the pursuit of topping. My addiction is to put in a body of work as a supporting player, as a collaborator on something creative, and walk by the mirror after the day is done and say to myself, follow that motherfucker. And then the next day, strive to do so. And the day after that, strive to beat whatever I came up with for the next day. It's just a pursuit of the future.